everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for spending time with me. And today I want to expand a little bit on something that I've been doing in a class the past couple of weeks. And I have found in the process of making the two pieces for the first two exercises that I really like thick and thin stripes running through a background, just a very simple thick and thin thing. And I'll show you some pictures here. This is from the first week. This is from Sheila Frampton Cooper's Developing Your Visual Voice with Motifs. So for the first exercise, this is what I made. This piece is, 35 by 39 or 40, I think. And I like the very bold graphic quality of it. It's going to go somewhere in my house. I know where it's going to go in my house. But one of my favorite pieces of it, the circles I love, of course, but one of my favorite pieces is that gray wavy line, thick and thin. And I really like that. And it showed up then in this past week's class in several different places, different color, but in several different places. And I discovered that I really like that look. So one thing I think I would like to do sometime is just do an entire piece, not necessarily a very large one, but an entire piece that is just probably different colors, maybe bright colors of that kind of line, not duplicating each other, but different lengths running in basically the same direction, but some will have more, will be over this way, and some will get shifted that way, and some in the center. And so I would like to explore that sometime. Today I want to try exploring making that line out of a bright color. Although I think I'm really falling in love with these aqua colors. Who would have thought that I would do the soft palette in this one with no black and white stripes? I mean, you know, I did get circles in there though. You got to give me that. So I'm really liking those colors. Maybe it's because I need some calm in my life, but it would be nice to do just a very calm, serene piece with those different aqua colors interspersed with these wavy lines, just kind of a peaceful, almost ocean or sea kind of effect. But for today, I want to try exploring that with giving it some depth. So I think you'll see what I mean. I've pulled out some white and some solids or near solids. Not quite sure how the stripe and polka dot are going to go, pin dot are going to go, but we'll see. And then I also have some gray that I used in, I guess, both of the pieces from the class. And then black and white stripey sort of thing. Honestly, I don't know how that's going to look, but it's something we can try, because trying things out is what we're all about here. So let's start first with doing one side of that wavy line. And I'll start with, I think, I'm going to try it with this green pin dot. Apparently I'm in greens right now. And then we shall see what we do from there. I'm thinking I want to add, I don't know if I want gray next or a black and white stripe, and I'm not sure that that's even the right gray, but I have some other grays I might try. So first of all, we will get started on the side of this, and I think I'm going to use a little wider piece of fabric. Sorry about all the hairy edges, but I've been playing with them a lot for the classes. So I will start and put it on this side. And let's not make it too large, because, you know, well, we don't want to be here until Christmas. So, let me find my rotary cutter. Being very well prepared today, apparently. And just kind of see what the effect is. Not necessarily wanting to come up with a piece at the end, but maybe a small piece, we don't know. So I'm going to cut this, and then I'm just going to do a freehand curve. And the thick and thin part will come when I make the next cut. That's it. Now I'm going to take my stripe here. I'm doing just a single layer so it doesn't shift. And now I'm going to follow this curve. And I am keeping my fingers out of the way. Please do not panic on my behalf. If you feel this is too tricky for you, you can use a glove. Pardon my elbow in your face there. And then I'm going to mark. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to mark on this side where that starts on that piece, just so I can keep myself oriented, and then I'll cut a little extra here. And sometimes I have enough left over of this to do another piece, but it's not happening with that one. So now I'm just going to stitch this, do right sides together, go slowly, needle down, and then I'm just going to lift this fabric over as I need to, making sure my 1/4 inch that I'm measuring is right at where the needle is and not the end of my presser foot. So I will do that and then come back. I have sewed this with a 1/4 inch seam, but I'm now going to go in and trim that to a narrower seam, probably about 1/8 inch, because when I press this, I could press it open. Sometimes can be challenging with a curve, but this curve isn't bad. It wouldn't be a difficult thing. When I press it, I want to press this toward this fabric for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't want to risk all the shadow through that would happen if I had this darker color with the seam pressed toward the white. And also because when I do this, then it lifts it off the surface a little bit. So I'm just going to continue cutting that to a narrow seam so that when I press this direction, and then I have another seam, and this is pretty narrow here, they will fold over each other and not create too much bulk there. So I'm going to finish trimming that, and then we will come back to cut the next piece. That curve is sewn, trimmed, and pressed toward the green. And now I'm going to cut the other part of the curve, and I don't want this to be regular parallel edges. I do want some to be thicker and some thinner, but remembering, of course, that I have a 1/4 inch seam coming out of here as well. So I have to, unless I wanted the curved piece, the green piece, to go away completely into the seam, then I'm going to have at least a 1/4 inch here. But then I also want to vary the width as I go. So I'm just going to start here with it fairly thick and then get thinner. Now, sometimes I get a little too thin, and I can kind of adjust that a bit as I stitch if I have to make the seam a little narrower than I had originally intended. So there's some variation in there, not a great deal. This piece is wide enough that I could use it again. And now I think I want to audition what I want to go under here. So I'm thinking of sort of a shadow effect, which could mean a gray, maybe not this gray, but let me pull one out here. This gray may be a little too light, or I could do like 2 different grays. I'm thinking maybe a gray and then a black stripe, maybe. And again, they aren't going to follow this same line. They will have their own lines. So let's see how it goes with this color. We may decide that we want something different, but let's start with this gray. So, all right, now in order to stitch this, I'm going to need to follow this curve. And then when I cut the next piece here, I can make it unparalleled to that. So again, I am watching my fingers carefully here. As you have heard me say before, I have cut off the tip of my finger doing rotary cutting, so I am cautious about it. And let me mark that up here. It's where I'm going to actually I would prefer to start down here because nope, doesn't matter. I'm always looking for the convex on the top, but it's not going to happen either way. So I will mark up here, which is where I'm going to start. Do the sewing on this, and then again I'm going to trim it to a narrower seam. Could I start out with, say, 1/8 of an inch seam? Yes, I could, but I feel like I have more control under the presser foot if I have a 1/4 inch, because there's more contact between the presser foot and the fabric, and I just think that helps to pull it through more evenly. And you know, I've got my machine set for 1/4 of an inch, and it's habit, I suppose, is part of it as well. Now this would be perfectly fine on its own, and I could add more in here and more up there, or just leave this block by itself and put in something like, oh, you know, circles or something. But we're going to add something more here, and we're going to try a stripe, and I think I'll use this regular stripe. And well, first of all, I'm going to cut the gray, and then I will cut the same curve from that, and then we'll go back to white. Now, when I'm cutting this, if this were a true shadow, then we would want it to mimic that curve, but we're taking artistic license here, so I'm going to sort of do this curve, but not exactly. And I have a pretty narrow spot there, so I may have to fudge when I'm stitching that, or it will just be very narrow. And there's nothing wrong with that either. So now I'm going to cut this to match that. You'd think I would learn to cut this so I have a convex on an edge, wouldn't you? But no. Okay, so I'm going to mark the end of this, stitch it as I did the others, and then we'll come back and do the white piece off to that side. I kind of like this way. You know, if we were to do that curve and then put, say, a plain white strip over here, just a straight strip, I think that would be kind of cool as well. But we're going to continue with what our original plan was, see how it looks. All right, I love this as is. To be honest, I'm sorry, that's probably messing with your eyeballs here with so much of it. But I love that layered sedimentary kind of look. If you were to do a cross section of like a riverbank or the Grand Canyon or anywhere, and see that layering of the soil and silt, I think that's pretty cool, just like that. I do like having more of it there. I just don't want to blast your eyes there. So now another option that I have thought about, and this is the wrong color, but if I were to take circles and stitch them into the seam so that only part of the circle is showing, I think that would be kind of fun. I could even do it 3D, where this is stitched and turned so it's not a raw edge. Stitch that into the seam, and then it would be a 3D thing, which, you know, if you have your quilts quilted by someone, check with your quilter before you do that. You would need to be lifting that up when you're quilting underneath it. So that's another option, and maybe we'll try that at some point because, you know, circles. Or you could, of course, do circles on top, which is kind of what I did in the quilt for the class, because I thought that the darker of the piece in the center, the middle of the middle panel was too much. It was drawing the eye too much, so I put a couple circles on it just to block out some of that bright. But in this case, I actually kind of like that. I didn't think I was going to go there. What if we put it here, completely off there, but as if it was pushing that up? Of course, I wouldn't want that black and white showing through, but that's a really fun option too. We should just do a sampler of all these, shouldn't we? Or you could just continue doing these as sedimentary layers and then put different bits in there. You know what? Let's not do what I was planning to do. There are also other things, like you could split that and shift things, which would be another sedimentary rock kind of thing if there was a fracture there, edge of a tectonic plate or something. So lots of options, but I think I want to continue with layers here. So what do we want our next layer to be? Do I want a stripe with a stripe? Nope. I think I want a solid color. I think there will be enough of this. I could do that here. So let's figure out what kind of thing we want to do here. I'm going to give myself hopefully I'm going to do it this way because then I will hopefully, that's a pretty steep curve, but I think I can do it. I think I can do it. We got some thin bits there, but this was a year without much rain, didn't have much silt coming into the river. It was cutting through the hillside. I don't know, I'm making stuff up. I have a friend who's a genealogy aficionado, not professional, but loves. Did I say genealogy? I meant geology if I did. All right, so now I'm going to duplicate that curve and just sew it. And I hope I like it, because I would hate to think that I just messed up a piece I like. But it wouldn't be the first time, right? All right, so I will stitch that and be back. My light is fading fast here. I think the next layer I want to do is going to be a gray one, and it'll be just a little bit wider. And I guess I will want to cut this first. And let's do it this way, so we're kind of in opposition to what's there, and a different sort of curve. And then just have to make sure that there's enough fabric under there that I'm cutting fabric, and we'll have something to stitch to. All right, cutting this curve, and then I will stitch it and see where we're at. All right, now we can think about putting on circles. I don't know that we want them all to be the same thing or the same size. Let me see what else. Let's see what else I have in here. Just pulled out my circle thing, my circle stash. There's a little tiny purple one we could add in. So there's an option. I think they need to be bigger circles than that though, don't they? Here's this one that I have thoroughly mangled. Oh, I like that aqua one there. And have something with pretty good size to it. And then we could have a smaller one, say there. So that's kind of fun. I may build some more on that, but given the fading light situation here right now, I think that might be it for now. Might come back and try some different things. Somehow I just think it needs to be bigger circles. Am I a little bit off bubble here? Well, that may be a little too much, but you get the idea anyway. Let me find some, I don't know if I have any that are much bigger. This is cardstock. Yeah, I think I like them a little bigger. What do you think? Let me know what you think about size and color and anything that we're doing here. Do I want to finish with that, or do I want to come back with white, or do I want to do another black and white stripe and then either the gray or the white? Things to ponder, things to comment, because I always love to hear your comments, and I know some of you like prints, so let's see what it would look like if we had some prints happening in the circles. Add something different to it. So let me know what you think. I'm going to ponder some more. Oops, I want a bigger one. Ponder some more before I continue this tomorrow when I have more light. We are back, and I think that I want to add in another bright strip here, but I'm contemplating what. Do I want to add in another black and white stripe? I don't think I want to yet. Do I want to add in just a little white stripe in there? Maybe. Or do I really want to differentiate it from here? Okay, I am going to cut this gray bit here and then add in a yellow strip, and then I'll see how I feel about a black and white strip. We shall see. I fibbed unintentionally. I didn't come back after I did the yellow. I decided to do the black and white and then finish off with the gray. And I could go on for however long I wanted to, of course. I could add some white at the top in the end, which I might do. I don't know. The other thing that I did was to do some circles, because it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. I wanted to add some in, so these are basically kind of the water that's flowing through and leaving sediment. Yeah, never mind. This is not a scientifically correct quilt, but I like that pop of color, and of course I love circles and the swirly things. Next week, there are a couple of other things that I want to try with something similar. I do want to try a piece with prints, more larger prints, and large bright prints for those of you who like that. And it could be kind of interesting as, you know, fossils or whatever in the sedimentary layers. And then maybe try some fracture or insertion things. So that will be next week. That's it for this week, I think. This will drop on the day before Thanksgiving here in the U.S. So for those of you in the U.S. or actually everywhere, I just want to say that I'm grateful for all of you for your patience with my brain just going bloop, bloop all the time, and for your kind comments, and just for hanging out with me. You all are the best, and I do appreciate you. I am thankful for you. That will be it for this week. I hope to see you next week, and in the meantime, be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.